Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's Nikki here, and today I have a flip through of a botanical inspired junk journal that I have made for the Dear Julie monthly junk journal making challenge. This one was all about using up our scrapbooking supplies, and she was also very generous in the things we were allowed to use. So I thought, right, I've always wanted to do a botanical themed one. This was going to be the perfect month to do it. So the cover, 3 signatures and 85 pieces of ephemera later, I have one very chunky completed journal, but thankfully everything fitted in. So we had to pick a paper pad as the basis for this project. Now, this does look quite white and bright, but it's actually a much more muted cream colour that is showing up on the screen. But this was the pad I chose. It's one I've had for a couple of years. It was from Aldi. But I loved the fact that some of the pages were softer cream colour, even though it's not showing up for you so clearly. And there were some flowers and things. So I thought that was like the perfect pad to use for something that was botanical themed. The one problem I had with this was the fact that all of the pages are backed in white, and I was a little concerned about that. So I did some playing around and came up with an alternative way to coffee dye things. And there is a video that I put up just 2 weeks ago, I think, that showed you how I managed to change some of this and tone down that white, because I just didn't want too much bright white in this journal. So what have we done here? Oh my gosh, this has been like a mammoth task making all these things, but it was a lot of fun. Now, I have not spent a single cent creating this journal. Every single thing was in my stash, and in fairness, my stash is large. So that was, of course, very helpful. Now, one of the first things we had to do, we had to make a snippet strip, and it had to be 16 inches long. So I had already decided that I wanted my journal to be closed with my snippet strip. So I made my 16 inches, and that's how I decided on the size of my journal cover, because I knew it would wrap around. So I just created the snippet roll with lots of little scraps of paper, and then of course added a few embellishments, like I've got a little metal charm on there and a little lace flower. I've sewn on some little beads. And what I did was sewed it onto a piece of ribbon to give it some durability and some bendability, because obviously being all done on paper, it would not last very long. So I thought, right. And that also then gave me the opportunity to sew in my ties, which is just some ribbon, of course, that was in my stash. So that's very simple. What I did do is I have just glued it down on the spine, just so that it doesn't keep falling off every time you open the journal up. So I made the cover out of a piece of cardboard that I actually received for Mother. It was a gift box delivery, and I had kept the box because it was really lovely, firm cardboard. So that's what I did, and I simply collaged some vintage style paper on it, threw down a few stickers, and then on the inside, I lined it with a piece of paper that was wrapped around a bunch of flowers that my mother got when she had an operation last year. And I hung on to that paper because it was just stunning. So luckily the piece was big enough that I could line the entire journal. And now we'll do a flip through of the 3 signatures. I have used a lot of the scrapbook pad, and I've also used a lot of magazine images. For example, this stunning bug, which was actually out of a craft magazine, but I had to use it. I couldn't resist. It's just the most gorgeous picture. So that I have used on a piece of scrapbooking paper for the cover of my first signature. So a lot of the things that are in here, we had to make. There's 85 pieces altogether. One of them was decorated envelopes. So here's my first one, which I like to put envelopes and stick the flap down so they become, well, they can be a tuck spot, but they're also great for hidden journaling. And in here, I've just got a little decorated journal card, and I stapled on a few little leftover scraps of paper. So that's like a mini notebook if you want it to be. And of course, no one needs to know you have hidden journaling there. This is just scrapbook paper. One of the things we had to do was edges and ruffles and all sorts of fun things. I just made a variety with scraps, ribbon. I did an awful lot of fussy cutting. I was very lucky. I got a bee/garden themed paper pack in a craft magazine. And honestly, it definitely came into handy in this journal. So like I've hand cut all these little bees out. Honestly, I don't know how many I did. Then we had to make shake shifter tags, and these were the ones that I did. And this was how I found my new way of dyeing paper, especially if you've already made something and you want to tone down white. Video for that is already on my channel, because when I made these, I was busy making them, crafting away, and then I went, when they were finished and they were drying, I went, oh my gosh, they're bright white, because all of this was sort of, the backgrounds were white, and I went, I don't like that. So I played with it, and thanks to some coffee, we managed to get them to tone down very nicely. Again, lots of little clippings from magazines. This was also another piece of paper that came wrapped around flowers. I managed to score one little bit that wasn't all crunched up. We had to make recycled rounds. With these rounds, what I did, we also had to use an ugly piece of scrapbooking paper, and I've got a few of those. But what I did, I covered the entire scrapbooking sheet in little pieces of magazine clippings that were all neutral toned. So I've used them to make some tags, and I've also used it to make my rounds, and then of course just put a little bit of embellishment on it. But that's a great way to use up papers you don't like. This was in that bee floral pack thing that I mentioned earlier. I just quickly fussy cut it out and then sewed it down through the middle so it can become a tuck if you want it to be. This, again, was from a magazine, and because this paper was so dark, I didn't like that, so I just stuck that lovely image down there. I thought that was really pretty. I have a lot of stamps, so I've used some stamps just as a little bit of embellishment on some of the papers. That was from a magazine. We had to make 6 tuck spots. I've used an old envelope, as you can see, a privacy envelope, which I just cut randomly into sort of that roundish shape and used some paper to decorate it, and a few little sparkly sort of metallic bits as deco, plus a few more hand-cut bees. This was a freebie from Cocoa Daisy quite some time ago. I've used that a few times through here just to add a little bit of deco, because what happened was I got all this stuff together and didn't use anywhere near as much, oh, a bit of rubbish there, as I thought I would. So that's why I decided to add a few little embellishments to some of the pages, just to use up some of the stash. We had to make 6 paper clips. This is a paper clip, which I've just popped on there, a little piece of scrap card, and I've punched some flowers in that just for a little bit of decoration. Here's another envelope. This one is bee themed, and again I have glued that down to make a little private journaling tuck spot there. From a magazine. With a couple of some of the pages that had quite a bold print on it, I've torn up another sheet that I didn't really like and didn't want to use, and I've just glued that down. I tore it up, glued it down, and that sort of gives you a practical journaling spot on some of these pages that are quite bold in print. Another little fussy cart. I had 2 sheets of Kaiser Craft scrapbooking stickers. I've used them quite extensively in here because there were lots of butterflies and pretty things. We had to make 6 ruffles. This one I actually watercolored, you know those cleaning cloths you can use in the kitchen. I don't like using them, I'm a sponge girl, but I got some watercolor out, and honestly it took the watercolor really well and it made a lovely lightweight ruffle, so I was very happy with those. Again, magazine cutout. We had to make 6 clusters. So I've just used all sorts of bits and pieces, like stamping on vellum, stickers, you name it. I've clustered it together. Again, another magazine cutout. Same thing here, was a little bit of leftover coffee dyed grid paper. So I've just stuck a couple of pieces down, added the tiniest bit of trim there to give 2 journaling spots onto that stripy paper. Again, another magazine cutout. This was a sticker in my stash. Another one of my, we had to make borders. So on some of the borders, I had some lace trim which I managed to use, and then just paper strips gluing things together. Again, magazine cutout and another one. Then we also had to make pockets that had at least 2 spots. So this one has the little mini pocket at the front, another deeper pocket at the back, and I then only glued it down on the 2 sides so that we have another tuck spot in behind there. And I coffee dyed some index cards, which I've chopped up and or stamped on to make little tags for the pockets. Then some little stickers. This again was from one of the Kaisercraft sticker sheets that I had, and that piece fitted in there basically perfectly. This is a This is a scrapbooking sheet that's all cards, so I've used a few of those hand cut in here. Another one of the tags that we had to make. Another one of the rounds. This was a birthday card and I just absolutely loved it. So that I just added some trim to and a tiny bit of embellishment on the side, and that makes a nice big tuck spot there. Again, magazine cutout. I see a lot of fussy cutting going on here. But it was a great way to use up all these things that I had in my stash. That's, of course, the other bit of the wrapping paper. Again, magazine. This was an ad that had these gorgeous flowers on it in a magazine, so I popped them down there. This is another one of my clusters, again, using stamped vellum. And, of course, I did manage to have 2 sheets that went in accidentally upside down into my signatures. So this image underneath here is meant to be down the bottom, but it's not. So I decided, oh, well, too bad. I'm not going to undo them. I can't be bothered. I just decided to sort of cover it up. So that's a little bit hodgepodgey, but guess what? Too bad. This is one of the, what were these called? Oh God, I keep forgetting. We had to make 6 tucky things. Belly bands. So I used, this was also from a bunch of flowers. I had about a metre piece of this Hessian sort of ribbon. So I thought, oh, what a great idea. And I just sewed on some book page and I hand painted some leaves onto paper and I just cut them out. And there's another little index card used in that one. That's the end of that signature. So this is now the next one. Oh, I haven't put anything in my pocket. Oh, I better do that. This was a pocket from, I honestly don't remember who I bought this from, but it was a beautiful winter themed journal kit that I purchased off Etsy a long time ago, and I cannot remember for the life of me who it was from, but I've popped that on there. And this is just a piece of cardstock. This is another one of my tucks. I have a cross-stitch book that I have destroyed using it in a few journals. Again, I've just glued it down on the 2 sides to make a tuck spot. And here are a couple of tags that I made, again, using my ugly paper. That's the back, as the underside. It really was ugly. That's actually not so bad, but oh, the other side was bright. This is all little bits taken from magazines and glued down to make a collage board. And then I've popped some stamps. Again, stamping on vellum. I really liked that look for this journal, so I did that quite a few times. Here's another one of my borders. Again, it's a book page with stickers, and this little scroll piece was on the Kaisercraft sticker sheet, and I've just tucked in another one of those little cards there. This is another one of my ruffles. This is just a little mini one that I've just popped in there for decoration. But I just stamped on some old brown, not so nice looking paper that I had, but it was nice and thin, so I just used that. And these were actually off a greeting, another birthday card that I got. I like those little embellies, so I popped them on there. Another one of the clusters. I just used a lunch bag, you know, the brown lunch bags, and just used that as one of my pages. This is another one of the belly band arrangements. This is a piece of fabric that I stamped on madly, and again, this has been cut out of stamped vellum, and I actually did paint it with some pretty bronze metallic paint, but it sort of doesn't really show up so well on camera. But and then cut out a few little paper flowers from the stash, and I've popped a couple of tags in there because they make great pockets. And what I did with these ones, I just tipped them over and stapled them on. Quite like that effect. Another one of the rounds, just held up there with a cute clip I found in my stash. It's amazing what you find when you actually look. And this, of course, is very bold sort of looking paper. So again, this is a piece from that Cocoa Daisy free printable that I got, and I've just clipped that under there. That makes a good journaling spot. More die cutting, I mean hand cutting, fussy cutting. Honestly, I had a very sore hand. Here's another one of my pockets. I've put the large tag in there. I've made a couple of smaller ones to fit in the respective pockets and just decorated them with some stickers. Magazine, a real stamp, another envelope, again, glued down with a couple of little bits in it for journaling. More flower paper. I was so glad I kept all of those. They worked out perfectly in here. Another round. Now, this was actually a Happy Mail envelope that I received a while ago, and I've popped it in this journal because I just thought it was a perfect match, and I've made a little pull-up tag for in that. Now this one here, this is another one of the paper clips I made, a little bit of stamping on an index card, and that's another one of my envelopes. This one is not glued down, so you can just remove the clip and pull that one off. Now this paper was coffee dyed, and it was a bit too long, and I was going to cut it off, but I just glued it down and made another cute little tuck spot, popped a journaling card in there, just a piece of scrap paper. Didn't want to cover this, love this image for this center page. Don't quite know what I'll do with that yet, but just left it alone. Magazines, that's the other side. I did exactly the same, popped a cute little piece of paper in there for a tuck spot. This is another one of the borders, and I've sewn some sari silk on that one and fussy cut out some leaves and book pages to make that one from my cross stitch book. Again, same thing, torn piece of paper to give you a nice blank journaling spot. Another one of the collages. Magazine image. It's another one of my paper clips with a printed piece of vellum that I've hooked in there. Another one of the tucks. And then I used some little scrapbook scraps that I had in my stash, and I just cut them into journaling card shape with my die cut machine. just little stickers popped in here and there. This was a cute image out of a magazine. I thought, yep, I love that. That looks very botanical. Now, we also had to, use a party supply. So I created this ruffle with a napkin that I took the backings off, ruffled it all up, and I just sewed it down. Even hand sewed a few little beads on that. But I think that one turned out really quite cute. Here's some more of this lovely flower paper. This is another tuck spot that I've made. This was a backing sheet off a stamp set. So I've popped that on there, popped a little bit of deco on it, so that makes a nice big tuck spot. And I kept with the bee theme to match with that paper. Here's another one of the pockets. I have, this one did I sew? Oh no, I can actually put it in behind there as well. So it's a 3 tuck. And then this one here, this was an image from a scrapbooking page that I just sewed down and don't have a lot of room there, so I've just made a tiny little card for that. And I cut the bottom off my paper bag and loved this image, again, out of a craft magazine that I think I had. So I've turned that into a journaling card, magazine image, another tuck made with the ribbon. Oh, I also had a go at making a window card. What I did with this, I've actually glued it down and turned it into a pocket. So that turned out quite cute. That's that signature. Now we go to the last one. I've used another one of those images from the download that I got. Another pocket, again, just made little journaling cards with index cards. Another one of those edges. Again, leftover paper to make some journaling spots, and I've just popped that round on there for deco. Another one. I made a few of these. I made pairs. They're not exactly the same. They're just very similar. But I sort of did 2, 2, and 2 when I created those. This was just in my stash, but I thought it matched perfectly. I did one of those corner tuck arrangements. This was some ugly paper that I just tore up all little bits of the green on there and collaged them on, and made a little window. I cut out the frame bit in the middle. I've put a little bit of backing paper and then stuck a flower in underneath it. And these journaling cards were just in a paper book that I have, so I thought those colors worked really well. So I popped that in there. Another cluster, a little die cut and a couple of stickers. Thought that looked cute. Another one of my paper clips. Then this was a card I also received in Happy Mail, and I thought it suited the theme really nicely, so I popped that one in there. Another belly band, more coffee dyed paper. That's another one of my borders. Again, just using some scrap paper, scraps to make the little flowers, a little scrap of ribbon. Another one of these folded over tuck spots. This again was also way too big, so I simply just created a fold over. So if you need a larger journaling space, another one of those little cutout windows. Here's another one of my pockets, but this one, because it was only made on book paper, I have glued the whole thing down to keep it stronger. So I have a front pocket on it and a side pocket on that one. This was an image from a magazine. Another one of my little paper clips that we had to do. Just use some tiny scraps and put it on a ring. I don't know what, I love this image so much. I didn't want to stick paper down on it for journaling, so I haven't quite decided what to do with that yet. I've just left it as it is. Here's another one of the napkin ruffles. Another flip. Again, using scrapbook paper to make journaling cards. I stamped on vellum to do the dragonflies for that particular edge. Another decorated envelope with a little journaling spot inside. Again, used napkin, which I glued down to decorate that one. One of my stamps from my collection. More magazines. Here's another pocket. Again, it's got two, and I didn't glue down all the sides, so it's actually got the third spot at the back. Another cluster. The second one of those ruffles. Last tuck. Another envelope again. I didn't glue this one down. It's just held in that spot with that cute little flower clip. Magazine. Again, this was a magazine image that I've turned into a tuck spot, and this is a piece from a book that I bought at a discount sale, and I turned that into like a giant journaling card. And that's it, all done. I haven't decorated the inside of the pockets. The cover, I may make some big pockets for that now that I can actually, it's finished and I know I can close it. I could fit a couple of nice pockets there. So I may just do that yet. And then I did add these cute little charms to the bottom. These are the strings from where I made my 3 signatures. And I had these pretty little flower shells. So I just threaded them through and tied a knot, and also added this cute little vintage looking metal butterfly that I had in my stash. And that's it, it's all done. So it was a lot of effort, a lot of work, but I absolutely love how it turned out. I can honestly still make some more goodies and add it to this, because I think I can still tie it down, I can still close it. So we might just get to that. But if you want to have a go at using up your stash and being forced, if that's the right word, but to make things that you may have never made before, or you'd like to learn how to make things, Dear Julie Julie's monthly, they have a different theme every month, and you get given a list of things you can and cannot do, and it makes you think outside the box. It's a great way to learn basics, how to make things. So honestly, please follow Dear Julie Julie here on YouTube. At the beginning of every month, she does a video explaining what the plan is for the month, and every month it's a little bit different, but it's a great way to actually get in and make something, especially if you're not sure where to start. Honestly, when you're given a list of things to work with, it makes it easier, because sometimes when your stash is so big, you just don't know where to start. So it's certainly a lot of fun, and I am so happy with how this turned out. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And if you'd like a tutorial on how to make any of the things that I have included in this journal, please leave it in the comments and I'll be happy to do one for you. So until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. And if you haven't already subscribed, I would love it if you did, for papercraft and planning videos. Plenty more of those to come up this year. Bye for now.